Welcome to the Finjan Show. I'm your host, Faris Alami, and this episode is brought to you by one of the programs that I help deliver and develop. It's called the Resilient Entrepreneur Program. It's a program where it could be expanded from 1 hour overview to over 14 weeks of curriculum that can be delivered to entrepreneurs for them to stay resilient based on the thousands of entrepreneurs that I personally work with in over 100 countries. For more information, visit the International Strategic Management website and hit on the tab Resilient Entrepreneur Program. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. One of the questions I get asked all the time, and as you know, in these episodes of the Finjan Show, one episodes I usually have an entrepreneur I'm interviewing from all around the world and trying to bust and break down some of these myths about entrepreneurship, with the goal that hopefully there's a message there that you'll feel connected to, because I am so disappointed most of the time of how sometimes people articulate entrepreneurship, or they want you to think about entrepreneurs, either high tech or high growth, or you have to have this or you have to have that. And from my experience with these entrepreneurs, I've met so many with so many backgrounds, that all these myths that are out there, most of the time, they're completely myths and there's really no truth to them. Now, of course, there are trends that we can learn from, and that based on the industries or the specifics that you want to go after. But in general, I've met people who are really well organized, great entrepreneurs, and I've met people who are completely a big mess, and they're also great entrepreneurs. I've also met entrepreneurs who are completely high tech. They are really successful. I've met entrepreneurs that they don't even know how to turn a computer on, and amazing, successful entrepreneurs as well. So I wanted to break those myths through this Finjan Show that we are been hosting now for a couple of years. And my goal is hopefully that there are some messages from those entrepreneurs directly that will resonate with you. The other message I wanted to bring is, many times people ask me questions in these sessions or these private times that we're spending with them, and it's not suitable to be public announcements. So I remove those names, I remove those ideas, and then I could share it with you here in a way that hopefully is meaningful for everyone else. And what I focus on specifically are the ones that trend to be repeating every time I'm in a meeting in a different country or with the different types of entrepreneurs. So one of the questions is that I get all the time: what are some of the trends that you see with these entrepreneurs? Are there specific characteristics that these entrepreneurs do? And I want to take back a step and say, before we even answer the question, we have to think about entrepreneurship in a lot of different ways. And the first way I like to think about entrepreneurship is, each person started their entrepreneurship journey, from my experience at least, for a different reason. There were those who started because they needed the money. This wasn't really like I have a passion for doing this, or I have a passion for that. No, I needed money. I need to pay bills. I need to eat. So I started a business, right? No one was giving me an opportunity, or every place I applied to, I couldn't get a job. There were those who started opportunities because they were maybe tired of where they were working and they wanted to get something different. And they wanted to explore different ideas. So maybe they have a little bit of a choice, but not much, right? Then those who are started because they had lots of choices and they served somewhere for 20, 30 years. And they're like, I could do this on my own. And they launched and they kept going, right? And then there are those who, I call it, they're part of a network, right? So they bought their entrepreneurship journey, like either they bought an existing business or franchised it, or whatever other way you want to think about. So there are lots of ways for you to get to be called an entrepreneur. And this is why in the past, one of the things we talk about in all of our programs is talking about the mindset, right? The mindset, how you think about what you see, a problem you want to solve or an opportunity you would like to create, is really where I like to have entrepreneurship be thought of, right? So it's not necessarily you wanted to start because you wanted to get rich or you wanted to eat or whatever it is. You started because you saw an opportunity and you wanted to create it, or you saw a problem that you were hoping to solve. Once we agree to that, then now we could say, what are some of the trends? What I've seen all over the world is people just be entrepreneurs, no matter what the circumstances are, and finding ways to make it happen, right? Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have struggle. It doesn't mean that they don't have challenges. It just, they're all types. I've met entrepreneurs who were engineers or lawyers, or they have technical skill, a CPA, and they work for years. Then one day decided, I want to do this on my own, and went and did it on their own. I also met others that from day one, that's what they wanted to do. Let's take a break and have additional discussions on this concept of what are some of the trends that entrepreneurs have globally and what you could learn from it for your own journey. We'll be right back after this short message. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us. This is the Finjan Show. I'm your host, Faris Alami, and today we'll talk about what trends do I see and have been worked in over 100 countries about entrepreneurship. So I mentioned a little earlier that one of the myths I see that people think of entrepreneurs in a specific way. So if I ask what's an entrepreneur in some settings, they might tell me you have to be breakthrough ideas and you have to grow and you have to be, like scale up and you have to do all this stuff. That's maybe what you think an entrepreneur should be, but it's not necessarily entrepreneurship, right? That's your definition of it. I also worked in other places. Well, I want them to open a store. I want them to have a place that people could go and visit or they could eat. And again, that someone's defining it, what it is to be. That's some of the trends I've noticed, that each person define it to what it is that they want it to be, and they believe in it, and they go after it. And what I encourage you to do is reflect before you answer that question, because you have to make sure, for those who are in the economic development space or the entrepreneurship support organization space, I call them EDOs and ESOs, that you might want to think about who are you really talking to and what are you trying to articulate the message for. And your audiences make a difference, right? So if I'm talking to someone who's thinking about starting a business and they want to open a retail store, asking them a question about what technology are you going to bring in is really irrelevant at the time, right? Asking them the question of what is the retail store is all about? What do you think you'd try to accomplish in it? Who is your ideal customer? And then get into some of those. If you want them to be high tech or high growth, or they're going to be duplicating it, then that's fine. Not every business started by an entrepreneur need to be a scale up. It's another trend I see. So the first one, that we all define entrepreneurship to be a certain way. And my answer to that is break it up, right? Stop making everyone be that one entrepreneur mindset that you want them to be, because it's much bigger. The second is we want them all to scale up. That's one of the biggest trends I see all the time, especially from those support organizations. We want them to start and scale. Well, they don't need to start to scale. Maybe they're filling a need in that specific community that others don't have it yet. Maybe they do, but they're also not interested in traveling or opening another location. Can we make it a healthy business here? And from my experience, there are millions of businesses all over the world that have one branch and do amazing work for that community that they serve. And they do amazing results for the entrepreneur that's living in it. That there's really no reason to try to make them different or make them fit the mold that you want them to be. It's great to expose them to these ideas. Hey, maybe it's an opportunity for you to grow. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to leave a legacy, whatever you want to sell them, right? Or you want them to be looking at, but it's not necessarily a fit for that person, or maybe in a different stage in their life that they're not suited for, right? They're trying to actually get out of the business. So for them to spend the next 5 years building it might not make sense. You got to meet them. I always tell people, meet them where they are, not where you want them to be, and then help them understand where you want them to be and see if there's a fit. So what are some of the trends that I'm seeing globally with entrepreneurs? From an entrepreneur perspective, many times entrepreneurs put struggles, or I usually say challenges, in front of them before they even start, so they never start. So I call them their wannabes. And then those who start, some go after it and they just keep going and they're focused on the doing. And some look at for all the obstacles and talk only about the obstacles. And some look at for all the opportunities and just keep going after the opportunities. So they're different. From an organization perspective, what I see is a lot of times they define entrepreneurship in a way and they want everyone to fold on it. And then they also want you to scale up or be big. And then the third one, I would say they always want you to be something different than what you're wanting it to be. So before you go, think about these ideas here or how you could unfold it and learn from it, or use it to have a discussion, a bigger discussion on what are things that you want out of the entrepreneurship activities in your communities. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host, Faris Alami. Until the next show, have a good day.